This will be the 13th game that has been missed by Embiid. That means he has to play in all but 4 remaining games for Philadelphia for him to remain eligible for postseason MVP honors, for All-NBA, for all of that. So back here with Woj, what is the latest with the reigning MVP?
And Malika, I'm told we're getting closer in Philadelphia to getting some clarity on what's next for Joel Embiid. You know, he went back to Philadelphia as the team went on to Utah for tonight's game. He went back, he's being evaluated. He's talking with doctors, and certainly the team is talking, the doctors with Joel Embiid on what exactly is next for him in that bothersome left knee, and what, if any, course of action needs to be taken to remedy this. And so I'm told we're closer to getting a clear picture of what exactly that's going to be. But they've certainly spent a lot of time here over the last day evaluating that knee and trying to come to a consensus about what's next for him, whether that's to stay on the court and keep playing, whether that's a short time away or a longer period of time away. We'll have a clear picture on that, perhaps as soon as tonight, Malika.
Woj, thank you so very much. We certainly will keep a lookout for an update on Joel Embiid's condition, but of course he is out tonight, as you reported, against the Utah Jazz. So Kendrick, on NBA Countdown yesterday, this has become an all too familiar story for Joel Embiid. He has a knee injury, he goes out. What did you say on NBA Countdown yesterday that you thought the solution was? That
they should shut him down for the season.
Okay, so you said that you think for the entire season, not just for the regular season. Chiney, what do you think of Perk's thought there?
I don't agree with that. Joel Embiid is playing the best basketball right now in the NBA. He is averaging 35 points per game. He is in year 10, and no one at year 10 is 100%, right? We know he has a history of having to manage this ever since it was year 2 for him in his career. I believe that Joel Embiid, if he is not going to make this injury worse, we're going to see what we saw from the first 40 or so games of the NBA season.
Yep.
A guy that is dominant and a guy that can play. I know you're concerned about this championship window. I know you're concerned about him being able to play in the longevity, right? But I do think that there is this sanctity to basketball where you always have to make the effort to go back out there and play and not just shut things down. There is some time until All-Star. There is some time after All-Star.
Yeah.
There is time to the postseason. I don't think you just say, hey, we are one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. We can make a run at the Eastern Conference Finals, but no, we're going to shut things down for Joel Embiid.
Yeah.
I know what this is like personally. I was in that situation last year with the Los Angeles Sparks.
Right.
I got injured, I played, and it made it worse. But every day I woke up thinking that, hey, today's going to be the day that I can make it out there for those fans. Now, that day did not come, and it was disappointing, but there's still a process that you have to honor. And I think we see the institution of the 65-game rule to make sure that that happens.
Do you want to respond, or do you want to hear from Brian first?
I want to hear from Wendy first.
All right, let's bring Brian Windhorst back in. Brian, what do you think of Perk's suggestion here to shut him down for the rest of the season?
Well, first off, you just have to know the medical report. You can't know what the options are until you have all that. Secondly, Joel Embiid's a $200 million player, and even if you think it's uncouth to talk about players in terms of the cash value, he's extremely important to the 76ers organization. They have layers and layers and layers of trainers, doctors, physical therapists, consultants who go into making decisions about this incredibly important person for this billion-dollar franchise, okay? And they would not clear him to play in any of these games if they didn't feel he was going to be okay to play. Nor would he want to play, regardless of the 65-game rule, regardless of who's on the other side. Whether he played in that game the other night was a huge apparatus that cleared it. And it was a freak injury where he got landed on. And then there's other huge apparatus with, I'm sure, some of the best knee specialists in the country that are going to evaluate what to do next. This is not a flippant thing. It's very, very complicated, and the process is playing out, and we should do it. And Joel wants to win, and Joel wants to be out there. I think he's demonstrated that.
Yeah.
And if he can get back out there and he can win this year, he's going to do it.
Well, I respect both of y'all thoughts and opinions, you know what I mean? I still disagree with both of y'all. And let me read this quote from y'all. I think about it a lot. What could have been, what could have happened. I just think about my situation was mismanaged. The ball was dropped, no pun intended, early on, which caused a whole new set of problems that lasted for another 3 years. You know who that quote was from? Grant Hill, right? Grant Hill, and he talked about it in the GQ interview about how he wished he would have addressed the problem early. And Brian, you just harped on and touched on the medical staff and how how important Joel Embiid is to the organization. Well, damn it, we've been having the same conversation for the last 3 years. 2.5 years now, Joel Embiid has been in the regular season, in the postseason, and he's been injured. He's been playing through injuries, dealing with his knees. So at the end of the day, if we're sitting up here talking about your best player, the guy that you're supposed to protect, and we know that his prime is not the same as the Giannis Antetokounmpo's because of his history, then we know his window is short, right? So at what point, as an organization, you say, you know what, we have to put a plan in place and a plan in place to make sure that we do the best by Embiid and the franchise to get him healthy. Right. To get him healthy. And we haven't seen that over the last 2.5 years.
It's just so tough without knowing exactly what's going on yet, waiting again for that report to come out. We're going to get back to this a little bit later Malika, in the show, Perk. But we're talking about the window is this big.
I know.
The window is this big.
And
if they have a chance now, I believe that the 76ers, LeBron James and Anthony Davis, they are both out tonight in Boston as the Lakers try to get back to 500 on the season. Now, Davis, he missed the team's last game versus Atlanta. It was the second night of a back-to-back for the Lake Show. LeBron has played in 44 of 49 games so far this season. So now we say hello to our senior NBA insider, Adrian Wojnarowski. Woj, this lineup change, it came within the last hour, and it was a little bit surprising. What happened here?
And we look at two beat-up stars on this Lakers team right now. You know, you look back just this week, overtime game on Saturday, then a back-to-back Monday and Tuesday. And so for the first time this season, both Anthony Davis and LeBron James will be out of the lineup at the same time, you know, against perhaps the best team in the league in Boston, certainly one of the great rivalries in the NBA, Lakers, Celtics, but it'll be without LeBron James, without Anthony Davis tonight. The hope is that the Lakers can get one or both of them back for Saturday night when they play another nationally televised game just down the Northeast Corridor in New York against the Knicks at Madison Square Garden. So no LeBron James, no Anthony Davis against Boston tonight.
Okay, Woj, thank you. Please do not go too far. I want to bring it into studio here real quick. Kendrick, Perkins, Chiney, Ogwumike here with me. Perk, I'm going to start with you. I was surprised when I saw that LeBron James and Anthony Davis weren't playing, particularly because AD spoke at shoot-around this morning, and he said that he was feeling better. What was your reaction?
Woj said two beat-up superstars, right? But he didn't say physically. Two beat-up superstars mentally. And this is a statement to the front office, Rob Pelinka and Jeannie Buss. And this is the attitude that we get from LeBron James every time we get close to the trade deadline. This is a normal thing. I'm not saying that he's sitting out, you know, that he sits out, but at the end of the day, we've been getting the
tweets.
Yeah.
Okay, yes. We've been seeing the matrix of subliminal messages from multiple players, even some coaches a little bit, and now we're getting the short responses. Look, it is disappointing because this is one of the most storied rivalries and one of the funnest, most fun games, right? But Anthony Davis has played 46 games so far. LeBron James has played, I believe, 44 games so far. That's a heavy load for both of those guys, considering what they have dealt with. LeBron in 20 or so years, and AD finally playing the requisite amount that we all say catapults him into the best of the best conversations. I'm not mad at it. This is a very difficult stretch, and I know there's a lot of conversations about whether stars should suit up or not. These guys are both averaging 25 points per game. They're playing hard, and it still hasn't amounted in things that have worked well for the Lakers, but still, I understand why this is happening.
Not me. Not me. This is one of those games that you circle on the calendar, right? We're talking about the Celtics and Lakers, LeBron James in the Garden. Like, this is not one of those times.
But so far, all this season.
Yeah, but,
we've seen the Lakers, including the in-season tournament,
but it's not like
and other show-stopping games. We just got one last weekend with the Warriors.
It's not like
they get up oftentimes.
But it's not like they're top 6 in the West.
And that's why they're sitting down.
No one reads the tea leaves on LeBron James better than our senior writer, Brian Windhorst. So let's bring him into the conversation. Brian, where do you fall on this? It seems like Chiney is a little bit more understanding, whereas Perk's like, no, this feels like a message is being sent.
Well, look, I do know that Anthony Davis, that hip has been bothering him. It is not something that is, invented. It's been an issue. It's arguable the way he was feeling, whether he should have even played the front end of that back-to-back in Houston over the weekend. As for LeBron, it's not my ankle. I don't know how LeBron's ankle feels. I do know that this game that he's missing today, he's missed several games with this tendinopathy issue this season. It's a maintenance thing. Now, historically, LeBron has wanted to play when he's 50-50. He has talked about how important he feels his role is to the fans and the partners. But if there's a fan base he doesn't mind disappointing, Malika, it's the Boston fan base. So I don't know if that tipped him to 51-49 or what, but I'd be remiss if I didn't point out that not playing in Boston is not going to break LeBron's heart. I will just say that all of this, no matter what the Lakers want to say or LeBron wants to say or whatever, all of this takes on a different viewpoint in the wake of the Hourglass tweet.
Right.
And I hate to be sitting here talking about an emoji, but this is 2024, and I have to be honest. I also have to tell you that over 20 years, I have watched a number of times where it's been near the trade deadline and LeBron has wanted something done with the team's roster, and he has had to browbeat, annoy, passively aggressively message his team to try to get them into taking action he wants them to take. And here's the thing. You can criticize that and say he should be above it and all that stuff, but the data in history shows, guys, he's almost always been right.
Right.
Whether it's going back to 2018 where he was agitating for changes and basically in a playing strike for the Cavs, they trade half their roster, they make the finals. He did this in 2015. He was dealing with some injuries then. They end up trading a bunch of their roster. They make the finals. Even last year, it wasn't quite the same. He was not happy with where the Lakers were. They trade half of their roster. They're in the conference finals. LeBron's history of agitating for this and it being the right move is pretty impeccable. So if that's what's going on, and I don't know for sure that's what it is, again, it's not my ankle. I kind of understand why he would think about doing this, whether it's with a tweet or whatever.
It feels a little bit impossible to separate this all from the fact that we are just over a week away from, just under at this point, a week away. No, exactly a week from today. What day is it? It's Thursday, a week away from the trade deadline.
1 week.
At this